Brodes Media.
I'm thinking about doing something new for this upcoming Sixer season. Every time Joel Embiid or Paul George misses a game due to injury, I gotta smoke one of my Emilio cigars, baby. And the greatest part of it all is I'm gonna be enjoying one essentially every single damn night because, well, here we go again. But let me tell you something about Emilio Cigars. Old school roots, new school attitude, locally owned, third generation, made at the Fabrica Oveja Negra in Nicaragua. There is literally only one cigar to smoke, and that is an Emilio cigar. And what you can do to get yours today, you can go to your local tobacco shop and say, hey, do you guys have Emilio cigars? Bada bing, bada boom. You can get hooked up there. Or you can go down below in the description. You can head to their website and you can use code BRODES10 for 10% off of your purchase. It's a no-brainer. Join me today and get started with an Emilio cigar. Yeah, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm annoyed. Shocker. Knowing I'm talking Sixers basketball, even more of a shocker. But there was a while where anytime the Sixers made a news story, they had headlines. They were so out of sight, out of mind, that you didn't even pay attention. In a way, you buried your head in your pillow, and then you wrapped your ears with the sides of the pillow, and you went blah, 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 blah. Anything they said, anything they did, I don't want to hear the bullshit. Get out of my face. And all of those emotions were very warranted. But for me personally, there's a cycle. And whenever that phase is over and completed, there's a new wave of anger. There's a new wave of frustration where I can't ignore anymore. Now it's, all right, enough with the fucking shit. And that's what I'm starting to get into as a Sixers fan. And here are the 3 reasons why I'm feeling this way, and we'll talk into detail about what each of these situations truly mean for this upcoming season. With VJ Edgecombe, this kid, he balls out, right? He drops 28. That mid-range jumper was sick. His ability to attack and go downhill, ew. Loves to get to the rack. I really enjoyed that first nod when he played in the Summer League. It was him versus Ace Bailey. Ace looked like a stiff that night. For once, Sixers fans came together and nodded. They smiled, they clapped, they appreciated. They enjoyed the product for about a good 2.5-hour run. Until we find out when it's time for his next game, he has a thumb contusion, a late scratch, and we haven't seen him since. The irritating part of this all, though, is Daryl Morey addressed everything that was going on, and he called it a wrist injury. He hurt his wrist. Now, is that just a misspoke? Did he misspeak? Is it starting with the thumb and it's where the thumb connects and it could be a wrist issue, or I don't know. I'm looking at my thumb now, damn it. The thumb doesn't even look close to the wrist. What is going on? Is it multiple injuries? Just the fact that we have to question this because we never give them the benefit of the doubt. Strike one. Do I believe that this is a big deal moving forward? No. But I also wouldn't be stunned if this lingers deeper than I would like to admit. Or if something pops up later on, or if they're hiding something behind the scenes. And I know that there have been some practices and he's been on the floor and he's been participating. So it seems to be more on the minor than anything else. I can't trust this franchise with anything medical related, but I'm not hitting the panic button on them. It's more about the messaging and how they still haven't found a way to clean that up over how many years? I'm 30 years old with 2 kids. When I was 6, I feel that they've been pissing all over themselves, urinating, not knowing how to properly talk. Hey, this is what's happening. This is who's injured. This is why it's going down. This is the timeline. This is how we get better. Just give me real, like facts. Please, facts. All I ask for is honesty to some level. This isn't trying to hold out information to block a team you're playing in Game 7 of the NBA Finals to have info on the current status of one of your leading scorers. All right, if then you want to joke around and pull certain strings and play a certain hand, fine. NBA Summer League with VJ Edgecombe. And they're all whispering there in the Camden facility. Hey, but make sure that this doesn't get released. Hey, make sure that you say it's a thumb, even though it's a red. If you're going to lie about this, then what else are you going to lie about? And that's a stupid question because we already know they'll lie about anything. But I'm looking for signs of getting back on track. This pegs you down a few notches again. And you're already as low as humanly possible. So strike 1. Strike 2. The other day, The Athletic put out a piece that said league sources tell The Athletic Embiid still has not returned to on-court basketball activities. What are we doing? What are we doing? Now, to be fair, for a while, after last year and just the way things were trending in the offseason and going to all these doctors and not getting any updates on where exactly he was and the reevaluation and the blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking this guy's toast. He just doesn't have it physically left. There's been a lot of big men that were not able to fulfill their full entire career to the max capability because something goes wrong. Back, feet, you name it. Yao Ming, Bill Walton, the list goes on and on and on and on and on of big men. Maybe that's Embiid. So if I felt strongly about that at the time, then doesn't that correlate with obviously him not being on the floor? Yes. Yes. In a way, yes. But now it's just soaking in because I'm getting hit with it now, and we're back into the raw thinking of, like, for example, I was hoping I was wrong. I was hoping that they did something. I was hoping that he could at least be taking jump shots and running up and down the floor to some level. Now, the piece also states that the Sixers front office and the Sixers organization, they're optimistic that he will be there for opening day, the season opener, and getting back on the floor. I mean, come on. I don't know. What are we doing here? It's mid-July. Before you know it, it'll be August. Before you know it, September. Embiid is where at exactly? This is one thing I'm wondering. And this is, again, a very difficult thing to do when you're balancing 2 different plans at once, and that doesn't really resonate with me as a winning idea. But you're also handcuffed behind your back. You have both your hands tied behind your back because of previous decisions, and you're backed into a corner. So either you just strip it all down and all that, and I'm not even against it, but you're also kind of being set up in a way of the new era of Sixers basketball with some of this youth, so you may already have pieces intact. Is it ideal to strip it down at this point? If you look at McCain, Maxey, and Edgecombe, if you told me after the Embiid era is over, you already have that in place at the workplace with that type of attitude and work ethic, I'd say, holy hell, that's great. So you're in this weird spot. But what if What if Daryl Morey was going with this philosophy? Let's just get Embiid healthy to the playoffs. That's all we can do right now. It sucks. It's terrible. It's pathetic. Sure, we will lack time on the court, getting chemistry. We will lack how to play through the big man. We'll lack all this stuff. But he will at least be there. Whereas we can worry about cohesion, we can worry about stamina, we can worry about being in game shape, we can worry about continuity, we can worry about the teammates being one, being together, being a family, the brotherhood. But then Embiid plays 40 games and everything you worked for is basically irrelevant and in the trash because when it gets to spring, he's going to be on the sideline with something on his knee, or he's going to have 2 thumb surgeries, and he's going to have an eye patch on. So how do you want to do this? I wonder if they're just telling him, don't even worry about it. Just don't. And when we get in, we'll see what can transpire. I wonder if that's their thinking. And if that was their thinking, they'd have to imagine that they lean heavy on Paul George to help get you there. Then you get in with strike 3. And strike 3 is Paul George underwent a surgery on his left knee Monday to treat an injury suffered during a workout. This is unbelievable. Like, again, now I'm at the point where, like, come on, man. Like, come on. I didn't have a lot of hope that Paul George was going to turn it around. There was a part of me that wondered if last year was the worst version of Paul George possible, though, where it could be improved from last year. Now, he's not going to be 27, okay? He's not going to be 28. He's not going to be pre-injured Paul George. But can he be better than last year's Paul George? And I thought it was reasonable to think, yeah, it's possible. It's in the cards. What I needed, though, was a healthy offseason, was a competitive drive to start the campaign. I want to prove the fan base wrong type of energy, which I don't think it's impossible. Just to start like, yo, last year was disappointing for you. It was very disappointing for me. I'm better than that. I got some more left in the tank. Now, he's here for a paycheck. And there's a reason why when we were all discussing if it was smart to go get Paul George or not, it just essentially came down to money. He wanted to be in LA. The Clippers didn't want to give him a certain amount of X, Y, and Z. The Sixers were willing to. That's why he's here. More than it is the spirit of competition, more than it is the spirit of being a baller. It was, I'm trying to cash in on getting my cash at this particular stage of my career. Rich, I won't knock you if you chase the bag. It just better come with other things. It just better come with your willingness to show up, to lead, to leave it all out there on the floor. I thought maybe that there could be a resurgence over the offseason, and now, just because you're getting thrown this injury stuff, late 30s in his career, I mean, this could just be a mail it in type. I mean, listen, I gave it my shot. I was going to go after it this offseason, but the second I poured my heart out into it, I got banged up. I needed a surgery, and now I'm going through this, and whatever. I gave it what I had. And I say all this to say, the way I started all this is, one, I'm starting to get back into a mindset of, like, I'm sick and tired of this, and it's no longer acceptable, and I'm not just going to let every season pass by just because the Sixers are ran poorly. The Sixers ownership doesn't love the community. The Sixers ownership tried to pull a fast one on us by the whole, we're going to move the stadium thing, and they played a leverage game and blah, 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 blah. I'm not just going to ignore them anymore because I care too much about the Sixers getting back on track again. There was a time where it made sense to block them out. But I don't know as a city if we can continue to accept that because it's time to kick it into gear with a different approach. Now it's the boiled frustration of get your head out of your ass, start making serious decisions, and start getting this thing on a path that we can accept. And there are pieces here to make you feel that isn't too far away, but then there are pieces here that are making you seem you are stuck because of Joel Embiid's contract extension, because of where Paul George is at physically and contractually. So you're in a weird spot where there are things that are intriguing and enticing and more probably favorable to you than you would ever imagine in a position like this, but you're also stuck. So if Daryl Morey is the president of basketball ops that the whole league thinks he is, you have to find a way to maneuver. You got to find a way to slither. Now, I'm just coming up with the conclusion that I don't think he's as talented as the NBA world thinks he is. The same way Doc Rivers is viewed a certain way around the league for a while there. Now it's starting to get sticky and it's starting to get stale and it's starting to get angled a certain type of way, and players are speaking loudly about the Doc Rivers experience. But for a while there, it was this guy's a winner, this guy's a pro, this guy's this guy's that. And same with Daryl Morey. I'm starting to wonder, though, if that talk is starting to shift because of his tenure here, because of how the James Harden thing went down at the end, where everyone thought they were so close, and then you got signs at strip clubs of Daryl Morey as a liar and this and that. And it's just unbelievable, man. Can I get basketball? Please, can I get basketball? I know we're far away from the winter, and it's a dead time in sports. But when it gets to the All-Star break type of time, I like to reflect on where we stand. We do a lot of things every single summer around this time. It's rank the coaches in the city right now, rank the current general manager / presidents where we are right now. And you just get a sense of where each team in the city is. It's a good time to reflect. I think of the wintertime because it is truly my favorite time of the year. Football season's kicking into the most important time. You got hockey getting going. You got Sixers basketball just there on a every other night situation with the hockey team, for example. And I need that again. I need that again where I need to watch them again. I miss them. I do. I miss them. The problem is I don't like the face of Paul George. Truth be told, I don't like looking at his face. So when I watch him, or if I see Kyle Lowry back again for year 73 at age 93, I cannot imagine watching that guy log in even 18, 16, 14 minutes. And knowing his relationship with Nick Nurse, I'd imagine there is a strong connection there that will put him on the court more than he deserves to. And if that's the case, I'm going to get angry. And if Joel Embiid has to miss time, and then it just starts to get sour again, then I have to check out and I can't consume the crap. And I'm trying to will it into existence that some way, somehow, the stars can align for some version of this to work to some level. Now, does that mean they're going to go win the NBA championship? I'm not drunk. Okay, I don't do meth. But I do think that there is a way to salvage this to the point where maybe, just maybe, I can like them. That's how far the bar is. There was once a time where it was, let's get out of the slop. Let's win 50-something games and make the playoffs every year. They did that. Then it was, let's get out of the second round. They couldn't. Now it's, I don't know who your starting five is. I have to Google every single player to look up where they even came from. That was last season. Now it's just get it to a point where I can manage to consume you to some level of appreciation. I don't know what that means. I don't think there's a written guideline for that because it's a pretty damn low way to approach a season. And quite frankly, even that is starting to bother me as I speak it out loud into existence because that's not the ultimate goal. But I'm trying to take baby steps here. And I do think it's important to apply some serious pressure now. And I think maybe the addition of VJ Edgecombe, and now you have 3 young players. I wonder if I'm not the only one who feels this way. The Paul George news that dropped on Monday, I saw the reaction online from a lot of Sixers fans, and it was kind of all over the place. There was the typical Sixers. There was the, I can't believe this. They always do this. They always find themselves in trouble with staying upright. Well, that's what happens when you commit to guys that are on the back end of their career and you pay them all this money and they just can't hold upright. When you see the Pacers play, when you see the Thunder play with their age, with their athleticism, with their ability to run up and down the floor, no offense, but, you know, you're throwing out guys in the NBA landscape that aren't even close to that athletic. I was going to say something meaner, but they're not there. They're old. They're old as dirt. They're old as can be. Their NBA careers are on life support. How are you ever going to manage? So, of course, that's going to be what we see on a day-to-day basis. And when we get hit with shams and a report, which, by the way, give us Woj. Shams, it sucks. Sucks. You're telling me you have the same experience when Shams writes a... Get out of here. Stinks. Just flat out stinks. Where was I going with that? Oh, the reaction online. I think for the first time I did see a community, and maybe it was just a mild and small minority, but I did feel, at least from what I was seeing on Twitter, that there was a grouping of individuals that feel, okay, this is now getting ridiculous, where we can't just laugh it off and we can't just brush it aside. It's time to seriously address this because enough is enough. And I think that's what the definition of this show is. If I told you had to define this show somehow, some way, it was to put an emphasis on the fact that it's no more. Okay, it's no more. Whatever they need to do to figure it out, I'm open to any conversation. I'm open to any difficult decision. I'm open to a lot of things here. But what we need to get done is we need this to get the goal that needs to be accomplished is to get back on the train track. They're not on the tracks. They need to get back on the tracks where everybody's pushing in the same direction. And I don't know if I feel that right now. And I'm wondering, does the locker room feel that? Does Joel Embiid know that the organization is sour on him? Does Paul George know that, man, everybody's regretting it? Daryl Morey doesn't even seem thrilled, and he was the one that was super excited on day one when they had their media availability together and they talked about the goals and what their ideas were and what they wanted to get done was and all that stuff. If they feel, hey, this organization is pushing us out the door and that rubs them the wrong way where they cry and pout and feel some type of way about it instead of using it as motivation and using it to prepare you for a big upcoming season, then this can, again, go off the tracks even worse. I hate to say this because I'm an Embiid fan, but you must find a way, and this is killing me inside. This is how I feel today. Maybe I feel differently later. This hurts me to my core, okay? Because I'm not a Joel Embiid's a bum guy. Joel Embiid's the biggest loser. Joel Embiid this, Joel Embiid that. One thing I'm extremely upset about with Joel Embiid is the fact that the whole Tyrese Maxey had to call him out saga. You can't be a leader and not show up to team things on time and to be on your own timeline and this and that. I don't get that. And that is a serious issue. And I get that, but his raw natural ability is so elite that I could live with some flaws when you're that special. All great players to some degree have some version of flaws. And with Embiid, I'm at the point where I need to try something different. You know, I do. And whatever the cost is of making that type of decision, we'll figure that out. But that's sort of where I'm at. What you also need to do is make a decision about your lawn. Because I wasn't paying attention to my lawn because I'm an idiot. But then I spoke with the experts over at Green Lawn Fertilizing. They are based in the Philadelphia area. They're the best in-market experts in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And they have created a special blend that helped my lawn recover big time. They just finished another wave of treatments on my home, at my home, on my lawn, my front lawn, and my back lawn. And it is so much fun to watch the progress from when it was essentially non-existent, where my lawn looked like crap, and now you're starting to see the green grass grow, and you're starting to see areas where they killed all the weeds, and then we're going to start the next process of getting some new luscious green grass. And I didn't know how any of this worked until I sat down with the experts, and it really educated me on why they were doing this, what their next step was, what the third step is, and you could see the natural progression. It's amazing. There is nothing else on my mind every single day when I wake up other than my lawn. And right now, Green Lawn Fertilizing is giving you 50% off your first 2 treatments. That's right. All you need to do is sign up with the link down below in the description. It'll tell them that Brodes sent you. You will get 50% off your first 2 treatments. It's a no-brainer. Make sure you join the Green Lawn Fertilizing family today. So there's one more thing I want to point out before I get out of here, and that's the fact that apparently one of French's coaches, France, their coach said, "I was happy Embiid didn't come last year. I think we don't need that." See, this is where I think it goes overboard. The disrespect of him. And now there's a lot of players that deal with this level of scrutiny. I think for a while there, Russell Westbrook dealt with that, and he was triple-double chasing, and I don't think he necessarily related to winning basketball. I don't see Embiid the same way that I just laid out Russell Westbrook, but there was a time where I think the Russell Westbrook hate went so insanely wild. I guess that's the power of social media, that it was just unfair criticism. And that's where we sort of land with Joel Embiid, to the point where France doesn't want anything to do with that type of talent and is happy and excited when he doesn't come that way and he looks to play for the American team. And forget how you feel about the Olympics in general. I didn't think it was good timing for him to take that route. And I remember listening to Jay Wright talk about the gruesome grind of Team USA basketball, what goes into it, what goes into the Olympics, and the way you get your body right for it, right after the issues he had physically, right after the postseason where they lose and they fail and they have this epic series against the New York Knicks, and that's just not the time for Embiid to dive deep into that, and he elected to, and all that I didn't love. At the same time, I understand wanting to play for your country in the Olympics. For a coach to come out and say that is the ultimate level of fuck you. Now, maybe they feel that way about how Embiid chose the United States of America. And then at that point, I guess all hands on deck. But I don't understand that route. Taking that route. If you're France, for whatever it's worth. That's just an example of it getting taken to an extreme. With that, all right, thank you guys all so much. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are the best. I love you. We'll continue to talk, and I will see you all on the next one.